Welcome to this episode of the Metaphysical Manner podcast, courtesy of Violet Spring, author, holistic life coach, intuitive energy healer, Reiki master, numerologist, and tarot practitioner.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're really diving into something different. Abundance, the Whole Truth by Violet Spring.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And I got to say, when I first picked it up, I thought, okay, another book on abundance. But Spring's take on this is, well, it's something else entirely.
Yeah, what really struck me was how she uses this framework of a business to kind of like explain her theory of the universe,
That's a lot to take in, right? I mean, the universe as a business. But you know what? Stick with us here. It gets really interesting.
It really does. So Spring argues that to understand this whole abundance thing, we got to start with the structure, the organization, what she calls the Macroverse.
Okay, so let's unpack this Macroverse, because I think this is where it starts to really click.
Yeah.
So Spring, she says the universe itself, it's like a CEO, like calling the shots, setting everything in motion.
And not your typical comparison, right? But it makes you think. The universe, not just random chaos, but like there's intention there. There's like a driving force behind it. I don't know. It's a cool way to think about it.
Yeah, it's a total mind bender. So if the universe is the CEO, who's like running the day-to-day, keeping this cosmic company afloat.
Well, she says that falls to time and space. They're the director of operations, the DOP, making sure everything runs smoothly.
Hold on, time and space. They're managing the universe. I had to pause there for a second. When I read that, I was like, come again.
Right. Totally changes how you think about time and space, huh? But her argument is that they're responsible for like the flow of energy, matter, keeping everything in order.
All right. So we've got our CEO, the universe. We've got time and space as our like super efficient DOP.
Right.
But even the best CEO needs someone watching out for risks, right?
Right.
And this is where it gets even more wild.
Yeah.
So Spring says the atmosphere, both internal and external dimensions, they act as the chief risk officers, the CROs of the Macroverse. Basically, they're like guardians, making sure everything within their area, it survives, it thrives, the whole deal. It's a whole hierarchy, right?
Yeah.
A cosmic corporation, and the universe is at the helm. It's a wild concept, but I gotta admit, there's a certain logic to it that I find myself like really drawn to.
It's fascinating, and honestly, we're just scratching the surface here. What Spring does next is she dives into the specifics, and that's when her ideas about abundance and our place in all of this, that's when it gets really, really interesting.
Okay, so we've got this wild idea, right? A universe as a business, CEO, DOP, even CROs. It's a lot.
It's a lot to take in.
But what really got me was this whole thing about dimensions. Like each one is its own thing with its own blueprint from, the big guy upstairs, the universe.
Yeah, it's not just one company, right? More like, I don't know, franchises, but like cosmic franchises.
Exactly. And that's where it goes from being an analogy to like, whoa, my brain hurts. Because if each dimension has a different blueprint, different rules, what does that even mean for, well, everything?
That's the question, isn't it? It's like what we think of as like the laws of physics, maybe they're not so universal after all.
You mean like different dimensions could have totally different versions of ourselves running around?
It's a possibility, right? I mean, Spring doesn't go into specifics, but she's definitely suggesting that things could work very, very differently in other dimensions. Different rules, different possibilities.
So you're saying there could be a dimension out there where, I don't know, gravity works in reverse. Or maybe time moves sideways. I mean, come on, that's wild.
Why not? And this is what I love about Spring's thinking. She's not afraid to ask the big what ifs. And when you start down that road, it opens up like a universe of possibilities, literally.
Literally. And if each dimension is like its own unique expression of the universe, the CEO's creativity, then the potential for abundance, well, it's got to be limitless, right?
Exactly. It's like instead of one pie that everyone's fighting over, there are infinite pies, each one totally different and delicious in its own way.
I like how you think. And that kind of brings us to another piece of this whole model, how energy flows through this cosmic business, right?
Yeah.
Because it can't just be sitting there.
Right. It's all about the flow.
So how does Spring see this working? I mean, it's a big concept, energy flowing through dimensions, universes, the whole shebang.
It is, but she lays it out pretty clearly. So she says it starts at the top, right? The universe, the CEO, that's the source of all energy. And then it flows down to the DOP, time and space, who manage and direct that energy.
Okay, so it's like I'm picturing, that classic image, CEO pointing at a whiteboard, all serious, and then time and space are there with clipboards making sure everything's on track.
I love it. That's a great way to visualize it. So yeah, time and space, they're directing the flow, and then it reaches the CROs atmosphere and dimensions. They're making sure it's being used correctly, safely, no cosmic energy spills.
So it's like a cosmic supply chain.
Yeah.
But instead of like widgets and gadgets, it's the building blocks of, well, everything that's being moved around.
Exactly. And this is where those universal laws and 7 immutable rules come in, remember, like the rule book for each dimension, keeping everything running smoothly.
It's all starting to come together now. It's like we're all part of this giant cosmic business, even if we don't realize it. Each of us with a role to play, contributing to the flow somehow. So we're all part of this cosmic business, right? Each of us playing a role. But what does that look like? I mean, how do we actually tap into this abundance Spring's talking about?
That's the heart of it, isn't it? And this is where it gets really practical. See, Spring, she ties this whole Macroverse thing back to our lives, to us. She's saying that understanding the structure, this energy flow, it's like the key to unlocking a different level of abundance in our own lives.
Okay, so it's not just some abstract cosmic thing, it's like a blueprint.
Yeah.
But how do we read it?
Exactly. It's about understanding the rules of the game, right?
Yeah.
And then working with them, not against them. She gets into manifestation, intention, all that, but it's not about wishing and hoping. It's about aligning ourselves with this universal energy.
Less gimme more like, okay, how do I work with this? How do I find my place in this whole flow?
You got it. And that's empowering, don't you think? We're not just along for the ride, we're active participants. We have a say in how this all plays out.
Wow, it's a whole different way of looking at things. We've gone from a CEO universe to realizing, hey, we're not just employees in this cosmic corporation, we're part of the energy that drives it.
And that's the beauty of Spring's work, right? It makes you question everything, but in a good way. It opens up possibilities you might not have even considered before.
This deep dive has been a wild ride, for sure. So as we wrap up our exploration of abundance, the whole truth, what's the one thing you really hope our listeners take away from this?
If there's just one thought that sticks with you, let it be this. What if the universe isn't this cold, empty place? What if it's actually this incredibly interconnected system, and it's designed to support abundance for everyone? And what if, by understanding our place in that system, we can tap into a level of potential we never even dreamed possible?
That's an amazing thought to end on. So to all our listeners out there, we highly recommend checking out Abundance, The Whole Truth by Violet Spring. Dive into this amazing perspective and see where it takes you. And until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and keep seeking your own unique path to abundance.
Being a soul star is easy. Just like and subscribe to join the journey. Thanks for watching.